You're listening to Staying in the Game, a Plum Dragon Herbs podcast where we have conversations about mindset and techniques for staying at the top of your game. Thanks for coming on our show today, Jason. I want to introduce you to our guest today. So Jason Malik is a Chief Instructor at Texas Wing Tsun. He is a former boxer and wrestler and cross-trains with other styles of martial arts to be able to effectively apply his Wing Tsun in any given situation and against any kind of attack. Aside from being certified to teach Wing Tsun, Jason is also certified to teach Jeet Kune Do, and he is a bladesmith, specializing in custom knives and edged weapons for combat and self-defense. And you've also done some stunt coordination and fight scene choreography for some independent action films. And I liked reading how you're also a recording artist, producer, and an audio engineer signed with Mo Thugs Records. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that?
That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
All right. Well, that's a lot of stuff on that resume there. So, and you've led some other organizations as well. The Trinity thing.
Yes. Wing Tsun Trinity is an organization that some people got together to kind of standardize competitions within Wing Tsun across the lineages, different practitioners across the world and different countries that have the organization presence there. You know, have competitions, fighters are ranked, and just kind of a way to promote the art.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What is your schedule currently like right now with COVID? Are you guys in classes now teaching? You're in Texas, so maybe it's a little less stringent there.
It's been crazy. The teaching lately has really been to a minimum. I got a handful of select people that I teach, small groups in parks and things like that. We haven't really just opened back up full blown teaching yet.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I can't imagine how it's hit you guys.
It was pretty bad here. I mean, everybody walks around like, you know, nothing's going on, but it's really pretty bad out here. So yeah, I got a lot of people I got to keep safe, so I don't want to take no chances.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about how you got involved with Wing Tsun. So if you could just take us for a little journey on what it was in your early life that drew you to Wing Tsun and how it has helped face your current challenges in life. And, you know, I understand that you've faced many unexpected hardships in your adult life.
Yeah, well, early on, I was fairly certain I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle when I grew up. I went through my early teenage years, went through my Bruce Lee phase, and that's kind of what that's kind of what put me on that path. Finding Wing Tsun and JKD was because of Bruce Lee. Mm-hmm. My daddy was a boxer, so I started boxing. I got recruited on the wrestling team after I got into a fight in school. But I was always the little guy. I was always smaller than everybody else, and just finding out about how Wing Tsun works, I felt like it would give me an advantage. So it just, it appealed to me. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of went that route.
Yeah, and so primarily you learn it for self-defense, correct?
Yes.
And it's totally different than going in a ring and dancing around and boxing or whatever. You're there and you're there to fight, seriously.
Absolutely. So I'm all for competition, type settings and sparring and things of that nature. But I mean, at its core, that's not what I trained to do. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's good to have that aspect of it because it does make you a better fighter, and the experience that you get from that is second to none. But you got to train for real situations. Right.
Yeah. I like this quote on your instructor website where it says, I'm a firm believer that in order to learn to deal with an incoming punch, you first need an incoming punch.
Exactly. Exactly. I guess because I've done kind of the sport combatives. I did the boxing, the wrestling, did some MMA, that kind of stuff. My approach to training is like you would train a fighter. I mean, no really disrespect to anybody else, but you get the guys that go in there and they got the Tai Chi music playing in the background and their silk pajamas and they're, doing their forms and it's really there's no application to it. That's, to me, I don't know. That's not my thing. I'd rather train to actually deal with an attacker. I don't care how pretty your forms are. I want to know, can you fight?
Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about some of the guiding principles of Wing Tsun that have helped you to fight, even through like some of your life challenges. What are some of those guiding principles that have helped you through adversity?
The main one, and I think I probably quoted this on my site too, or in another interview, is my Seeing Sifu Mike Chilton. He made the comment that we were discussing techniques, and he said, the techniques really don't fail. If at any point something failed, it's 9 times out of 10 my lack of forward intent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the universal application. How you approach things in your life, how you approach situations, is you got to maintain that forward intent. You got to hit it head on and deal with it, even when it's unpleasant. And that's really a life lesson. Usually, when something's going wrong, it's you've lost your fight, you've lost your intent to go through it, and you let it defeat you.
Right. Are there any specific examples that you could share of how you've applied that principle in your life?
One very major thing I went through a few years ago was so one of my children's mother. We went on very good terms, and she kidnapped him and took off with him, and I went a very long time without being able to see him or know where he was or was he okay. And it just if you're a parent, you understand that kind of what that can kind of do to you. But a lot of people just, it's overwhelming. But I had to, one day at a time, I had to keep fighting. I had to keep going. And it was a struggle, but now he's in here in bed asleep right now, and it's it paid off.
Yeah. So just having that forward motion all the time. And what about the principle of sticking?
Yes. So sticking is about control. So the forward intent is more than just charging blindly. Your forward intent is you wanting to drive the opponent or the obstacle, but sticking is the control. So when you make contact with that said opponent or situation, the goal is to control it and nullify its attack and advantage position to neutralize it.
Mm-hmm. What other principles would you say have influenced you? And what are some of the favorite ones that you teach to your students?
I teach them that Wing Tsun is a switch. It's either on or it's off. There's a Wing Tsun saying that says, "Fight with no mercy. With mercy, don't fight." So part of the training is it's the mental aspect of it. The physical aspect is you train yourself. You're developing responses. So you're basically reprogramming your nervous system to respond differently And but a large part of that is the mental aspect of it. You have to know that if something happens and you engage it, you're all in.
Mm-hmm.
This, boxers will get in the ring. Sometimes, I mean, you'll see them. Some of them, like Mike Tyson, when he goes in there, you get in the ring with Mike Tyson. You know that Mike Tyson's trying to knock your head off. It's all there is to it. He's going to plow through you. So you either going all in or you don't have any being there.
Yeah, so you're fully committed to what needs to be done.
Yeah, you get hurt trying to save the other person that's trying to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's attacking you, you can't be concerned with, well, I don't really want to hurt this person. If they're posing a threat and it's occasion, then you have to do what you have to do so you can get out of there safe.
Right. Another principle that I like that you guys have listed on your website is don't be greedy, don't be afraid. Can you cover that one?
Yeah, so that's kind of a multifaceted for the main part. Part of it applies to body structure, with your center of balance, to not be leaning forward and not be leaning back, so you can maintain your structure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what we do is manipulate your opponent's structure. So if you are leaning into me, I can exploit that. Or if I feel you leaning back, I can exploit that to take you off balance. But the other side of that is, don't be greedy, don't be afraid means don't just go in gung-ho and, too cocky and arrogant and make mistakes. Don't be greedy. And then don't be afraid means if you can't, don't be on the defensive. You don't want to be on the defensive. You don't want to lose that forward intent.
Right. So there's a physical aspect of that and a mindset aspect of that, saying don't be greedy, don't be afraid.
Correct.
Yeah. And then how would you say that relaxation plays into Wing Tsun?
It is a very core concept that makes it all work. It's absolutely crucial in order to make it function properly. And it took me, being that I came from a lot of aggressive, harder styles, boxing, wrestling. It took I was weightlifting, bodybuilding, that kind of stuff. I was a power lifter. Like, it took a lot for me to get the whole relaxation thing down, because I just wanted to bulldoze into everything. And what you do when you rely on your physical strength is you are limited by it. So it works for me if I can overpower you. But if you're stronger than me, I'm at a disadvantage. So you have to learn to relax and develop the sensitivity to be able to read your opponent's pressure and respond accordingly. Not overexert energy that you don't have to be able to react quicker. It's a crucial role in making everything glue together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what if you're having trouble relaxing and focusing? Do you have any special techniques you do to help you focus on keeping like a cool head?
So the mental aspect of it, which is the cool head part, and also the physical part of it, which is the actual, relaxation to, develop the impulse control that you need, both comes from just training and repetition. And you have to actually deal with real non-compliant pressure. It's not something that you're going to get from doing choreographed drills.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how to control the exchange next, if you want to talk about that.
So one of the things, one of the core ideologies that we teach is, we'll say there's no blocks in Wing Tsun.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is an attack and everything intercepts. So there's no static blocks. There's no purely defensive movements. If your attacker if someone attacks you and you are responding defensively to their movements, they are in control of the exchange.
Okay.
You're following their lead, and you're already 2 steps behind them, and that's a bad place to be in a real altercation. So what we want to do is take the lead from them and make them respond to us. Um, so if you're a boxer, I'm not going to stand there and dance around and let you punch me. If you're taekwondo guy or something, you do kicks, I'm not going to want to dance around in your kicking range and let you play with me. I need to get in close so I can make contact and stick to you, and then I will control the exchange.
Right. Do you think that's easy for a lot of your students to do, or do you feel like they make some basic mistakes? Like what are some of those most common mistakes that you see your students making when it comes to that?
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, especially in the beginning. It's a process that you have to. It comes from experience, which is why I'm so adamant about actual sparring, because the most dangerous part of a physical altercation, whether it's a bar fight, somebody's trying to rob you in the parking lot, whatever the case may be, the initial contact, the initial attack, that's the most dangerous part. That's where fights are won or lost. Whoever can catch you off guard and land that first punch. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready to go in and intercept that. And it's basically like you're charging into battle. So you have to have that mindset and become comfortable with charging into somebody swinging at you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take a punch at me and step in, and I take a step back defensively, I'm still in the exact same place that I was relative to you. So now you have a chance to punch at me again. But if I move into you and intercept your attack, I can nullify it before it gets to me and simultaneously attack you while I'm defending. So ideally, that's what we aim to do.
And this is experience that can't happen just like punching a dummy. You've got to be engaged in an actual encounter with someone.
I mean, it's just like, it's like when you learn how to drive. You can memorize the entire driver's ed handbook. You've watched your parents drive for 16 years, but until you actually get behind the car and you learn how to operate that motor vehicle, not just in theory, but how to feel it and become sensitive to the gas pedal, the brake pedal, how to turn the wheel. It's the experience that teaches you.
Right. What would you say that some of your students have said is different about you and the way that you've instructed them?
Well, one of the things that I've, especially with my lineage, it's not the same with everybody, but with our lineage, it's really demystified as opposed to some other traditional martial arts. Everything is very presented the way we do it is very scientific, very mathematical. There's explanations for everything of why it works, and like I said, I have a more modern approach to training, more like you would train a fighter as opposed to what you would see in some traditional, martial arts schools, whatever the styles may be. Because I've got students from like elementary school to in their 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the 60-year-old guy is not going to be a professional fighter. But if somebody tries to, steal his car in the parking lot, he needs to be able to properly react to that situation. If you can't always run. Running is not always an option. So if you're there, then this is what you do.
Yeah.
So it's the modern approach to the training is we take all the theoretical out of it. Okay, you learn a technique, now test it.
Right. And that comes from probably training in a lot of different styles of martial arts that you're able to anticipate how somebody might attack you in different ways. And you also have learned from various styles as well.
Yeah. And like I say, I often cross train with other styles, different practitioners who are always good for meet up and exchange. I've had my fair share of real fights, but it's just a lot of times we would even bring people in from other styles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this guy does Muay Thai. This guy does Taekwondo. He's going to try to kick you. You need to learn, deal with his attacks, because that's different pressure than what you're going to get in class. And there's one thing that we always say, a lot of traditional martial arts, the problem that they have is we call it the Wing Chun incest. You sit around and you do chi sao with all the people in your classroom, and you do, you know, your choreographed drills, your Wing Chun on Wing Chun drills, and that's all fine and dandy until you get somebody that's doing a spinning back kick and he just broke your jaw. And how did that even happen? Well, because you've never seen one of those before.
Mm-hmm.
Or the wrestler that as soon as you try to punch him, he, you know, now you're on the ground. How did that happen? Because you didn't train for that.
Right. Yeah. So that's really cool, just that you've been able to take some of the best parts of all different types of styles of martial arts and incorporate them a little bit maybe into your own training.
Yeah, more of a way of not modifying the system, but teaching people how to use what's in the system for different applications. I went into the Gracie Barra School and I rolled their instructors on the ground with my chi sao. Everybody's like, Wing Tsun doesn't have any ground game. Why not? Forward intent just means forward. It doesn't mean you have to be standing up. You know, so it's just a matter of training and application of what's already in the system.
What are some of the other myths that people have about Wing Chun?
Oh man, there's so many. There's, you know, oh, it only has one punch, or all you guys do is just hop forward in a straight line. And I mean, it's just so much. And if you actually go to some classes, you'll understand that these myths come from people that have probably went to one or two classes. Now they got all hyped up, and then they went and got beat up, and then, oh, that doesn't work, because you don't actually know what's in the system yet. That's just a very basic beginners. All you do is run forward and chain punch. No, that's like day one. So as you're learning how to punch in a straight line, that's not how it works when you get through the system and you're actually learning how to fight with it.
What are some other things that people mistake about your art?
Well, you know, we hear it's just patty cake, or chi sao doesn't work. Nobody fights like that. It's just, you know, a lot of misunderstanding from the outside looking in. You know, sometimes you guys stop and be like, okay, well, let me show you. I'll show you how this applies. And, you know, a lot of people are a lot more receptive when you can actually show them something instead of just arguing back and forth about something.
Right.
Like, okay, well, show me what you're talking about and let me show you how to apply this.
I want to change topics for a minute now and just kind of explain a little bit how we were connected. You had some questions about Dit Da Jow that we were answering. And so what's your experience with Dit Da Jow, and what are your favorite uses for it, or some of your key formulas that you like?
So, as I told you, Wing Chun is a very kind of, the way we present it is very scientific, is very down to earth. And I'm a big science guy. I need an explanation for everything. I don't do dragon wags his tail. What's this move do? I don't know. Just doing it. That's not how we do things. So I was always very skeptical of a lot of the traditional Chinese medicine. And we had a guy in class at one point, and he was like, just weird stuff, just weird homeopathic, sniff these herbs and you'll feel better. And it was just like, no, I'm not with that. And then, so at one point, I was at a nightclub downtown, and I intervened when a woman was being assaulted. And this turned into an 8-on-1 brawl unknowingly. I didn't realize that there was a large group of them when I engaged the guy. That point, it's too late. So no, I don't advise anybody to go out and try to whoop a group of guys. It's not really what I didn't know what I was signing up for when I got into that. But obviously I finished it. I guess you could say I won in the sense that all 8 of them ended up going down, and
Wow.
5 of them left in the ambulance.
Oh.
But I mean, it wasn't
great.
like, yeah, well, it wasn't like an Ip Man movie with a great, choreography or anything. Trust me, I sustained quite a bit of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Some broken ribs, and I torn ligaments and meniscus in both my knees.
Wow.
I couldn't even barely walk. My Sifu at the time was like, come by the house, get some Dit Da Jow, and use it. It'll help. I'll tell you to help. I mean, at that point, it's like the Vikings weren't cutting it. So what do I got to lose?
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I got some from him, and I rubbed it on my knees, my ribs, and it was like, man, it's amazing. The inflammation went away. The pain subsided. I could actually walk around a little bit, and I'm like, wow, it made a believer out of me right there. I was like, man, that's some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was like several years ago, and I've been, using it ever since religiously. I guess, it's pretty much what keeps me going. I mean, I didn't have insurance at the time, so I never did get the corrective surgery on my knees. So it's been an ongoing thing that I've been dealing with, and the ribs healed fine, but the knees they didn't. And the Dit Da Jow was that's my daily thing to keep me going.
Oh, awesome! And you use it in your class as well with some of your students.
Oh yeah, I tell everybody that, like, hey, you need to try this. Something hurts, try this.
Mm-hmm.
So I got students I'll give some to, or they'll get some and here, try this, or we'll change a little bit. Different seafoods from different lineages. They have their own proprietary blend. We'll exchange out, or even other styles. Like they got their own kind of liniment, and we'll. So I like to try all that stuff out now that I kind of open my eyes to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then transitioning now a little bit to another part of your job that you do is making knives. Talk to us about your knife business. Your knife business.
So I am a bladesmith. I do custom knives, swords. Pretty much any kind of edge weapon. They're not necessarily just weapons. I do kitchen knives. I do, hunting knives, fishing knife, whatever kind of blade you need. Personally, I get a lot of enjoyment out of, my weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to be prepared.
Right.
A lot of people, martial arts weapons, they don't ever think about it until something happens. Mm-hmm. And then it's too late. Like, I just got beat up. I think I'll go take some classes. So I'm all about being prepared. So, self-defense weapons, everyday carry knives, that kind of thing. Although here in Texas, you can carry any kind of blade, so you can get a sword and walk around with it if that's your thing.
Wow. And where do people find these knives? Like, can you purchase them online, or do you have to live near you to get them?
So it's BTG Custom Cutlery on Facebook,
mm-hmm.
and it's btg.custom.blades on Instagram.
Okay. So we could put links to that on our show notes for people.
Awesome. Yeah, if I got something for sale you like, you can buy it. If not, I can make, whatever custom order that they want. I've got some the Wing Tsun Believing swords that I've done. I got some Jin swords that I'm working on right now. Me and my business partner, Bastion. So what we do, we just crank out blades.
Awesome. Maybe we can put, a promotion on our site and direct people to where to buy them.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And, what's another way that people can get in touch with you if they have questions? Do you have any other social media handles you want to share? Or websites?
So for Yes. So I try to keep everything compartmentalized to keep it down to a dull roar, so I can pay attention to what's going on. So for the martial arts, for the Wing Chun, it's Texas Wing Tsun. It's TexasWingTsun, and it's at Texas Wing Tsun on Instagram. It's Texas Wing Tsun on Facebook. And then I've got my other one for my music, which is Bino 5150 on Instagram and Bino of Mo Thugs on Facebook.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to include all those links for our guests so that they can reach out to you or find out more about what you're up to.
That's awesome.
And we sure appreciate you having on our coming on our show, because I know you're extremely busy and you've got a lot going on right now.
I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate trying out your jow. I really like the Bruise Juice. When I'm working my jong on the wooden dummy, it's I like to hit it kind of hard. So the Bruise Juice works really good.
That's great. Yeah, that's our most anti-inflammatory jow right there. And then I think we sent you our top 3, the Ho family, which is like the all-around jow, and then the ancestors, which is more of the deep penetrating long-term chronic injuries and iron palm jow.
And they all work very well, especially with this weather we've been having. Like the old man will tell you it's going to rain. I feel it in my bones. After there's knee injuries, I do. I understand exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So anytime it gets cold or it's really humid, my knees get inflamed, and the jow really takes the fire out of it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm so glad. And hey, is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
I'm drawing a blank right now, but I'd really like to give a shout out to my Sifu, Bradford Warner, and the Wing Tsun and BJJ Academy, who oversees Texas Wing Tsun, and of course all of my fellow Wing Tsun practitioners, my real Jeet Kune Do organization. Give a shout out to my people, everybody that keeps the wheels in motion.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you so much. And you
Yes,
have a good rest of your night.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. Be sure to visit us at plumdragonherbs.com for show notes, a transcript, and links to things we discussed today. Also, if you could just take a moment to hit the subscribe button, you'll be helping us spread the reach of this podcast to others who could really benefit from it. Our guests have amazing things to say on staying in the game.